this is a place for you to share your ideas and where Winnipeg comes to talk about things. So many of us have a story. We had one guest this morning, my good friend Rick Phillip, who I really hadn't had a heart-to-heart with in almost 28 years. We did that this morning. If you missed it, please go to CJOB.com. We had that conversation at 11 o'clock. And Rick talked to me and spoke to me and shared a story of addiction and prison time and now recovering from his addiction. We didn't get as much time to discuss that as much as I would like to. But after he left, he said, I think I'm going to write a book. I think I'm going to write a book about this. There's something therapeutic about it. There's something giving about it. And someone who has done exactly that, told her life story in a book called We Don't Talk About That, is Giselle Roeder. And she joins me now. I think you're in Nanaimo, right, Giselle?
Yes, that's right.
So lovely to hear your voice. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Same to you.
And
all of Winnipeg.
We remember Giselle from her chain of beauty spas here in the city of Winnipeg. So, there's only really one Giselle in Winnipeg. She doesn't live here anymore. But her book, We Don't Talk About That, chronicled her escape from East Germany during the Second World War and told some very vivid stories of her experiences and experiences of other women and other people in that escape and during that wartime. But you're releasing a set of stories. It's a bouquet of stories. I actually really like that, Giselle, called Forget Me Not. Tell me about what this book is all about, and then we'll talk about how you went about and how you're going to go about publishing it. But tell us about the book first.
The book is the collection of 50 stories, and Winnipeg stories are in there quite a few. So I think a few Winnipeggers will find themselves, even if I changed their names for privacy matters.
And what kind of stories are these?
These are stories of people that have really influenced my life or have left what I would call footprints in my heart. And they are stories about the city, about living there, about, as I said, people that I have met. And it's amazing. The more I think about it, the more stories I left out. So I have to write another one.
Now, these collections of stories, I think, are a wonderful way to get others involved that might not normally get involved in publishing either their memoirs or even small stories. So when you put a bunch of stories, 50 in this case, in this bouquet, as you call it, Giselle, it's a wonderful way to get perspective from many different people.
Yes, it is. And I think there are more people who write down their like a diary or their life story for their families and friends, and then they just have it copied at places like Staples. I have a friend who did that. And but if, like this Rick that you mentioned, if he wants to write a book, he should write. He shouldn't think of grammar or commas or whatever first, but write. And when he is ready, then he can go through and correct it. And then I think the best way before if he wants to publish it for people to buy, if he thinks it's good enough, he has to have proofreaders and he has to have an editor who knows grammar and punctuation. But what he also can do, and I found this very helpful this time because I didn't know that for the first book. But Forget Me Not, we printed that out on the brand new book machine here in town at the library. It's rather costly, like a book of 200 pages cost us the first 5 $20 to round it off, 1980.
Now, is that per book or is that?
Per book,
per
yes.
book, yes.
Per book. But if you only let's say for somebody like Greg, he writes his book, he prints it out, and then has 5 people or half a dozen people read it for him. And they will find mistakes that he will, as a writer, overlook, just like in my case. And so I had practically 3 printings by now. And each time you find more that you would like to either add or take out or correct. And in this case, if it's only for your family and friends, you can have whatever number you want. You can go back and add more, because once it's uploaded, you have to format it. You have to have a cover. You have to have a design for the cover. And once you have all that together, you have a book machine in Winnipeg. McNally's has one. And I was fascinated by that machine when I was there. And since then, I had always been looking around for where is one here in BC, right? And now that Nanaimo has one, I figured this is a really good way to get Christmas presents.
No kidding. And what a terrific way to share your story. My grandfather passed away just over 3 years ago, and he'd written his memoirs, and I won't call it chicken scratch because I love my grandpa and I respect him, but his writing isn't exactly legible. So my aunt has been charged with shall we say, decoding his writing.
Yeah, put it on the computer, because you have to have it on a flash drive or something.
Yes.
And with that, you can go to the machine, and the people that work there, they help you set it up. They also help you to measure the cover, the back spine, depending how many pages you have to have that spine wide enough to have the title on there, so that if it's standing in a row, right? But the book machine, I would say, is definitely not the way to go if you want to sell it worldwide, because it's too expensive.
Right. So there is, it's kind of this, it's almost like a digital 3D printer, right? Where you can print off 1 or 2, maybe 3, but if that proves to be a popular item that you've come up with, then you want to go into mass production.
Now.
Yeah,
they are really busy now.
That's really fascinating.
For my second printing. And it's like a Xerox machine that prints the pages once you have set up everything. And the nice thing is I could also include pictures, so only black and white, mind you. But the cover is in color. I don't know if you took a look on my website, GiselleRoeder.com. You can see the color of Forget-Me-Not. And it's mainly blue and slight beige, a little bit of beige in the middle where the title is. But it's all Forget-Me-Nots, right, in color. But inside the book, the pictures all have to be black and white. And the computer did our black and white, our color pictures, just turned them into black and white.
It's fascinating when someone decides
really
to...
amazing.
Yeah, it is.
The whole process.
For sure. So, Giselle, before I let you go, what has been the impetus for you to share your story? Has it been to inspire others, or is it a little bit of therapy for yourself? I'm always curious as to what motivates people to share their story.
All of a sudden, you remember things, and then you write. Because of my first book, we don't talk about that. There are so many stories that I haven't written, and I'm working on the sequel, Now My Life in Canada, right? 50 plus years in Canada. And these stories that I put into Forget-Me-Not, there are stories that are mainly set in Canada, and they should actually be in my sequel, but the book will be too big, if you know what I'm saying. And there are stories that more people would be interested in and get a smile out of if they find themselves in there. So that I decided this is a little in-between book. I call it a bridge between the two books. But it is totally on its own. It has nothing to do with the first or with the second book. Those are more serious works, right? But especially I thought this might inspire other people who, like in my writing club, these people, they all have it stapled and then ring binder, etc. Well, go and spend $20 and you have a fabulous book, and you have something to give to your grandson or to your, people that would love to read your story, but they wouldn't read a copied just a normal copied book in a ring binder. That's not a book, right?
I love it.
It really is beautiful. The first time we came home with the first 5, I said to my partner, to Trevor, you know, if this would be a teddy bear, I would take it to bed.
And of course,
I was so happy with the looks of it, and to have this book in my hand, even if it was just for proofreading and for. And then Christmas came closer and closer, and we couldn't get it printed any other way. And I said, you know what? I am going to send out these 5 books to the people who matter to me. You know, they live in Winnipeg. With a pre-publication, a collector's copy, mistakes and all.
Love it. Giselle, you're an inspiration. Your story in your first book, We Don't Talk About That, is gripping. It's horrifying and inspiring all at the same time. Forget Me Not, Bouquet of Stories. We'll watch for that as well. You can go to Giselle Roeder. It's Giselle, as you would expect it to be spelled, ROEDER.com. Giselle, always great to catch up with you. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. There's one thing I would like to say to the Winnipeggers. The ones that can't afford or don't have too many books already and don't want to really buy another book, why don't you go to your library and request to get the book We Don't Talk About That? Because I have had these questions over and over, and apparently in Manitoba it's not in the system yet. Here in BC it's everywhere. And there are still waiting lists for this book, even if there are 5 in the system on the island alone. And I was told in Winnipeg, when I tried to contact the library, if 5 people request it, they will carry it. So people who want to read it but not buy it, go to your library and request We Don't Talk About That by Giselle Roeder.
Thanks, Giselle. I appreciate that. That's a great point to end things off. Thanks again. We'll talk to you in the new year.
Yeah, happy New Year.
And to you too, Giselle. Giselle Roeder joining us from Nanaimo. She is the author of a new collection of stories. It's a bouquet of stories called Forget Me Not. And We Don't Talk About That. That's in wide distribution on Amazon and elsewhere. You can go to GiselleRoeder.com.